So right now I'm in between one of my client meetings, and I wanted to talk to you about a job that anyone could really get into if they have the right plan in place. And this is involving AI. Y'all, this is so lucrative. A lot of people think that you can't get into AI unless you have like a tech background, or you have to know about coding, developing, you have to know about robots and anything. Y'all, you don't need to know any of that. If you truly have an interest in digital tools, helping organizations implement the tools they already have for the people within the organization, then this is the job. This is a new service offering you can offer to your clients. I'm telling y'all, this is a new way to make money with AI. So in this video, I'm going to go over how I got into it, or should I say stumbled into it, what I do on a daily basis, and how you can do it too. And I'm going to offer up some suggestions if you do own a business like myself of how you can implement it as a part of a new service offering. So make sure you stay tuned to the end. So for those of you who are new here, I am in the payroll space. I built a company after I got laid off, and I help companies migrate payroll solutions into their organization. Well, recently, one of my clients, while we were at a forum, there was talk about AI usage and the adoption with team members and employees, and not utilizing the AI tools that are useful. So she started going on and on and on about AI, about how she wants to bring it to the team and stuff like that. After the meeting, I had a conversation with her, and I said, "Oh yeah, I really think it's great. You're bringing AI tools to the team. This will make people be able to work more efficiently and improve the ways they work and stuff like that. I use AI." And then it was just this whole conversation turned into a 30-minute conversation. So after that, I didn't think anything of it. I went back, continued on what I was doing. So a week later, she put a meeting invite on my calendar and said, "Hey, Jackie, I want to talk to you about this AI thing." And I was like, "Okay." So I went into the meeting completely blind, didn't even know. She was like, "I want you to bring AI to my team." I'm like, "What? You want me to bring AI to your team? Like, what are you talking about?" She's like, "I want you to come up with a plan. I want you to come up with a strategy on how we can use the tools that are available at this company on this team." And I was like, "Okay." So then I had a week to get it together. Now, a part of my company, I do offer change management services, but for this client in particular, we're doing payroll migrations. So I said, hold on, wait a minute. I never did any type of AI enablement, even if I do use AI. So I didn't really know where to start. So I said, you know what? Let's take this as another change management project. And that's exactly what I did. I used the same concept, the same methodology behind change management, because it is change management, and I was able to offer it to the client. So what is an AI enablement strategist? And I know that is like a lot to say. Pretty much, it's a person who comes in with a plan to help a company help their team members adopt the AI technology that they have already invested in. So in other words, let's just say, on the simple terms, a client might have Copilot, and the team needs to learn how to use Copilot. So what you would do as the AI enablement strategist, you would come in and learn everything you can about Copilot. And then you will come up with a plan on how to bring it to the team. So it could start off with a discovery, an assessment. Actually, it should start off with that, to understand where the team is and where they need to be. Then you would come up with the different gaps that they have, like how are they currently working right now, as opposed to how they need to work in the future. And then you will come up with the rollout strategy, you will come up with piloting, and then you would do that on a continuous basis. So that's pretty much what an AI enablement strategist does. So in other words, I bridge the gap between technology and human workflow within companies. So now let's talk about the different skills that you need in order to do this job successfully. So number one, you have to be a people person. You cannot, and I mean absolutely not, do this job if you do not like interacting with people. It is a must. The next thing you have to be able to do is you have to be convincing. And when I say convincing, you have to understand a lot of people are not really inclined to this new AI wave, the new technology wave, and they are a bit apprehensive about using different tools. And quite frankly, a lot of people like just doing the same thing that they've been doing for a while. So you have to constantly reinforce the benefits of using this tool, why the company is choosing to use this tool, how it's going to make their life and their job better. And by doing that, you'll be surprised that a lot of people, they start to come around. But of course, that's your job as the person who's implementing the change. So the next skill, and it's probably obvious, but you're going to have to be comfortable using digital tools. You can't help someone implement a digital tool and just be a talker about it and not be comfortable yourself, because there are a lot of people out there like that. They just talk about things and then but they're not the ones who actually use it, because people will pull your card and they will say, whoa, oh, how does it help you? You have to know what to say, and you have to be honest about it, because people can read when people are just not being honest about what is happening with the change. And one of the next skills that is very, very important, you have to understand human behavior and have a plan when resistance comes up. Like I mentioned before, people are not really inclined to doing things differently. They like doing things, the same things over and over. And there will be some resistance. I know for myself, there was a particular person that I don't want. Nope, nope, nope. I like sending my emails. I don't want AI doing any of my emails and stuff like that. So I had to introduce that person like, hey, you can set your tone with AI and it will sound like it came from you, and it will streamline your process. I mean, you can get back 10 minutes. Who wouldn't want to get back 10 minutes? It's all about having a plan in place for that resistance. So now that we talked about the skills, I want to touch briefly on what a day might look like. It's not typical because it just depends on the day and where you are in a project, but I just want to go over some things that I do on a day by day basis with this particular client. So depending on where we are, let's just say we're in the discovery assessment stage. What I'm doing is sending out surveys to the different team members. First of all, we want to know if they actually have access to the tool. We have to start there, because if they do not have access to the particular tool, we're going to have to work with IT or their manager in order to get them access. Then once access has been determined, I'm preparing for the readiness assessments. Now, these type of assessments are me going in, asking them, hey, have you heard of AI? What do you know about AI? Let me understand what your day, your typical day looks like. And I'm asking them those questions because it's going to feed into the next phase when we do, or when I do, the current state. And what a current state is exactly what it sounds like. It's what they currently do in their job. So I map all that out and I find each of the manual points. Now, the reason why I'm looking for the manual points is because I'm looking for what can be replaced manually with AI. And that's going to feed into the next section, which is the future state. So the future state would be implementing the AI solution. And I'm creating that gap analysis, that's usually what it's called, in order to figure that out. So let's just say the person's saying that they spend X number of hours writing emails and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to look at the tool and I'm going to see, hey, can this tool write emails for the individual that will reduce their workload throughout the day? And if the answer is yes, then that is the tool that we're going to use for this particular individual. And I just keep going through that until it moves into the next phase. Now, in that next phase, it's a lot of training, it's a lot of workshops, it's a lot of pilots and we're creating decks and things like that. But that's what happens during that phase. And then lastly, it will be more of the adoption, and they will come to like weekly pulse sessions. That's what I'm calling it. And that's just to gauge your temperature. Like, hey, how are you utilizing that tool? Do you like the tool? Do you want to learn something else? Is there something that you're struggling with? And that's pretty much the process. And that's how it goes. And I do that from team to team, shift. And to onboard a full team depends on the size. But let's just say the team is less than 10. It depends on a number of factors. It depends on, number one, are they ready? And when I say ready, you get that from the readiness assessment. Are they ready for this tool? Because depending on how ready they are, it will show me how quickly they can adopt to the new AI tool. So a project can take anywhere from 4 weeks to up to 12 weeks. That's the longest that I have seen so far. So now let's talk about how to charge. So as I mentioned before, I have my own business, and there are really three different ways. I mean, I guess you can do it multiple different ways, but there are really three different ways that you can charge for this type of engagement with a client. Let's just start with my favorite, project base. Okay, project base is not really calculated by the number of hours. You now, of course, in order to come up with that number, you have to calculate how many hours it will take you, and then you would give that over to the client as a proposal. They'll say yay and nay, you go back and forth. But ultimately, you want to work quicker than what you have budgeted for the project in order to make more money. That's how you make more money when you are doing project-based work. So for me in particular, and of course I'm not going to disclose numbers, but you can charge anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 per project. And I can tell you right now, the project that I am doing for this client is well over the 50,000 mark. It's going to surpass six figures. The next way you can charge a client is on a retainer. Now, this is if the client just wants you on a what they call a fractional basis. It's very low commitment, so somewhere between the 5 to maybe 8 hours. I wouldn't even say 10 hours. Like, it's very, very fractional, but you're doing it on a monthly basis, and it's a retainer. So regardless if they hit the 8 hour mark, if they don't, let's just say, okay, you have a retainer for 8 hours. I can give you 8 hours a month. And they could use that 8 hours, they cannot use that 8 hours. But either way it goes, you still are getting paid on that monthly. And depending on how you set up your contract, you can have that flow into the next month. Like, it could be a use or lose situation, or it could be on a rolling basis. So if they use 5 hours this month, they get to use 11 hours the next month because they had hours left over, which I do not suggest you do, but it's definitely an option. Now, the next way that you can make money in this space is by holding workshops. And when you hold a workshop, it's a one-time event. Now, of course, you got to prepare the workshop. You have to know the audience. You have to create the material, but all of that should be created up front anyway, especially if this is a part of a service offering that you're offering within your company. So you would hold a workshop and you would say, this is when it is. This is who needs to come there. This is what we're going to talk about. And then at the end of it, you can send off your notes or whatever you have decided with the client, whatever the deliverable is going to be. And of course, use AI to do it because that's what we're doing. And then you're done. Then you get paid. You invoice the client, then you get paid. And I can tell y'all, this is very, very lucrative. This is what I currently do with one of my other clients. I offer workshops. So I just enter into doing business requirement workshops within the migration space. And I say, okay, well, I can do this workshop, and trust and believe that's going to turn into a next workshop and a next workshop, especially if the client has multiple locations and if they are all over the world. It definitely becomes lucrative. So bottom line is, if you package these skills right in your service offerings, you can make a lot of money in this field. So now that I talked about the service offerings with the business, let's talk about what you can actually say to the client in order to start that conversation. Now, this is not the full proposal, but this is just a conversation starter that you could say. And this is exactly what I said in order to get the client that I have here. So you would want to say something to the effect of, "Hi, my name is whatever your name is. I offer AI change enablement services through my business, whatever your business name is. I help companies roll out AI tools like whatever the tools are with real strategies for adoption, training, and change communication. If your company or team has the tools but not the plan, that's where I come in." Now, of course, you can take that as a template, make sure you screenshot that, but you definitely want to put your own flair to it. But that's pretty much how you start the conversation and you get it going. What I would suggest is choose one tool. Like if ChatGPT is your thing, then offer that. And one of the ways, like let's say for instance, you have a client, you work with YouTubers, okay? And you built a process of how to streamline the YouTube process from filming, editing, uploading, creating the hashtags, creating the description, everything that it goes into creating a YouTube video, and you utilize ChatGPT to do it. So this would be a great service offering that you can offer to your clients. So bottom line is, what I want to get out of this video is you do not have to be a tech genius. You do not have to have a tech background. You don't have to have any of that. All you have to do is be interested in these digital tools that companies are already implementing within their organization and want to help the people within the organization, the employees, implement it in the way they work. So if you're interested in that, then let me know in the comments down below. And also, I'm going to put a link to my company if you want to have a further conversation outside of YouTube. No pressure, just putting it out there if you want to implement this service offering in your company. And until next time, peace out.